about the Uganda Darts Association. There's a lot that is going to be coming up in a couple of months or in the next 6 months in terms of darts, and we'll be able to know how the game is played, where the offices are, and of course the national team. Do you have a national team for darts? If we don't have, are we preparing the team that can compete at all levels? Well, all that will be discussed, but I'm in the company of two gentlemen. That is Andrew and David, the vice chairman of the Uganda Darts Association. I will start with you. That is David. How have you been?
I've been well, thank you. All is well.
All is well.
Yeah.
How is the family?
The family is good.
Okay.
Kids are in school, boarding school.
Okay.
Yeah, they are preparing for final exams for this term.
Oh,
yes.
That's good. Good to be a parent, by the way. It feels good to be a parent. I'm a parent as well, for information. Anyway, I'll go to the captain of the team. That is Andrew. How are you, Mr. Captain?
I'm fine.
You've been well?
I'm doing well.
How is the family?
The family is fine. They are doing well at school.
Okay.
Boarding school, and they're performing. They are performing. We are doing very well.
Okay, I'll start with the vice chairman. Take us through what is this thing called the Darts Association? What is it all about?
Thank you very much. Darts is one of the many sports in Uganda. It's an indoor game.
Okay.
It's played by both men and women, and it cuts across. There are no limitations. We have people from all walks of life, from the private sector, from the public sector, like my brother Andrew here plays for Uganda Prisons. This is a government institution, so we are appreciative of government. Incidentally, they support a lot of sports, and that is one of them. We also have people in schools, tertiary institutions especially. As Uganda Darts Association, we've been very handy when it comes to giving technical support whenever they have the inter-university games. The last being in Ndeje, where Ndeje hosted the East Africa Championships. We hope to get in touch with them again this year. But looking at darts as a sport, it's a mind game. It requires a lot of concentration. Okay. It's an indoor game. There has to be good aeration, not too much to distract this dart as you throw. It doesn't have, it propels, your effort to throw makes it propel to the board. We call it a darts board. Okay. So if there is wind, for example, if the venue is windy, it will affect your target. You aim at, say, bull, but because of the wind, the dart will divert and will not hit the target. Okay. So as Uganda Darts Association, we have an office. Our office is at MTAC. Here in Nakawa. We have a leadership which is running its last year in office. Come January, February next year, we shall be electing new office bearers. But the current leadership is headed by Engineer Bosco Lepi. He plays for a team called Pearl Darts Club. I am the vice chairperson. Okay. David Alex Tawaro. I play for a club called Leisure Tech. We have the general secretary, is called Kosam Gerard. He plays for Cobbs Darts Club. Okay. We have assistant general secretary. She is Omonya Gloria. She plays for Pearl Darts Club. Okay. We have the treasurer, Mr. Okalany Robert. He plays for Uganda Cancer Institute Darts Club, another government body. Then we have 6 committee members. We have one, Makanga Sarah. She also plays for Uganda Cancer Institute. Okay. Incidentally, she's the reigning African champion. When Uganda went to Egypt in March, Sarah beat every other woman that dared to come her way. Okay. So as we talk, Uganda has an African queen. Okay. And we are sure when we go to Denmark, Uganda will conquer the world in the game of darts. The other committee members include Mr. Akena Chaudhry. He plays for Prisons. We have Mr. Ospira George. He plays for Soroti. We have Kaiso Pius. He plays for Cobbs. We have Asuga Winnie. She plays for Silver Springs Dance Club.
Okay.
She's one of those on the national team that will go to Denmark as well as Kenya when we go to defend the East Africa Darts Championship. So basically it's a committee of 11 people,
Yeah.
men and women. We have, Betty Adoch, because we are focused on youth development. She's in charge of women and youth. She plays for UPDF Darts Club.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, that is how the structure is. It has supporting arms. In Kampala, we have Kampala Zone Committee,
Yeah.
headed by a gentleman called Ebo Rukundo. Then we have the northern...
Ebo Abe.
Abel.
Okay.
Abel Rukundo. Northern zone is Opio. And we so far have 2 functional zones. Our target is to ensure that we have functional committees countrywide.
Okay.
The northern zone comprises of teams from northern Uganda, basically. Apache, Gulu, Noya, Kitgum, Lira, and Soroti has been annexed to the northern zone. But we have plans of having eastern zone, so that Soroti now carves out of northern zone. West Nile, the work in progress. We have Nebi, we have Arua, and Nyaravu. Those are teams in formation. A team like Nebi and Arua were existent but went dormant.
Okay.
Then in the western, we have Ajip, we have Hima in Kasese, very few in the western. We used to have Masaka, which was part of western, but it has since collapsed. So we are working on reviving, because National Council Sports requires us to have a national outlook for us to be considered to be a good association. But by far, we've managed to achieve the minimum requirements based on the evaluations that National Council does.
Okay.
So I can confirm to you without fear of a doubt that we are not a briefcase association.
That's a good one. Let me go to the captain of the team. I don't know how he became captain, because normally in other sporting disciplines, they look at your input as a player.
True.
I know that he's a hands-on man.
True.
He's a committed, he comes early into training. There is not too much training. It's just the mind that wins your game. So, Mr. Captain, start with your captaincy. How did you become captain?
Thank you very much. As they told you that that is a game of mind and the skill at the same time. You see, being a captain, it's leadership.
Yeah, true.
First of all, the other players have to see your potential in leadership. How can you lead them to the throne? Okay. I led the team to Tanzania. That was last year. As assistant captain, that was last year. Yeah. And we managed to be the champions of East Africa. That's we have the trophy here in Uganda, and we are the defending champion. Okay. So when they looked into all that, they said, no, the captain is a better choice.
So you have the armband.
I have I have it. And I'm a good player. Okay. I'm a top 2 right now in Uganda. And I've won very many trophies. And I have them with me as a captain. Okay. Yeah, I've been a captain for Uganda Prisons Darts Club since 2009 when I joined Uganda Prison Service. And up to now, I'm the team captain. Okay. Yes.
So we would love to get another team captain to take over from you. Anyway.
From prisons. It's okay, which is very, very okay.
Let me go to David Tabaro. When you mentioned about the darts, I love the fact that you broke down the structure, the association. But you did. I want you to now to go into the league, because normally in football terms, the league will be commencing in a couple of months to come. So we want to know, when does the darts league start and when does it end, and what's at stake to win for winners for the rest of the clubs?
Thank you very much. Like any other sporting body.
My name is Ruben.
Thank you, Ruben. Like any other sporting body, and I'm happy to put name to face. I've been hearing about Ruben. I'm glad I'm now exchanging words of sports with the one and only. We have a national league.
Yeah.
That's where I talked about zonal committees. We have a league running in Kampala, a zonal league running in Kampala, and a zonal league. It has not started in the northern because the teams were yet few that confirmed, but we are sure they are going to start their zonal league come next September, actually. Okay. The zonal league in Kampala has gone through the first round, and we are left with 1 weekend to conclude the first round games. We have 12 clubs. Okay. If I can quickly run through.
It's okay.
We have Uganda Wildlife Authority. These are the defending champions. And incidentally, we had the championship in Apache over the weekend. It's called Super Cup. Uganda Wildlife Authority had won it previously 3 times. They again won it this time. So they are not, like people say, a joking subject, if I'm to borrow our friend Moses Mborora's words. Yes, and the other team in Kampala is Uganda Prisons, another good team, formerly champion of the league, but I think Uganda Wildlife Authority has done something different. So they are winning almost all activities at club level. Then we have Police Darts Club. This is also an institutional club. We have UPDF, institutional. Yeah. We have Uganda Cancer Institute, institutional. We have Kakira, that's club, institutional. And now we go to the individual self-sustaining clubs, like my own club, where I also happen to be the chairman. That is Leisure Tech, that's club. Our venue is along Namirembe Road. There's a hotel there called Leisure Tech. We are glad that the proprietor, Mr. Joseph Kananura, gave us space to play darts. Okay.
You said it's your own club?
I belong to
Leisure
Tech.
How do you pay players who come to be part of your club? Do you have the money to pay them, or they just come to Onobulungi Bwansi?
For the individual clubs like my club, majorly it is goodwill. Okay. But our patron, Mr. Kananura Joseph, has a number of business associates, so they touch here and there, and they support us. But by and large, it is goodwill, people who love the game and don't want to leave that club. We've been together for quite a long time, won trophies, although these days these guys are hard.
They are so good that you can't manage them.
But we try. They know when we face them, it's not a cup of tea. The other team that is self-sustaining is Pearl Darts Club, where our chairman comes from, the chairman and the assistant secretary. The other one is Silver Springs Darts Club. The other is Cobb's Darts Club. That's where the general secretary hails from. And we have a club in Mukono called Nobela, Seta actually, Nobela Darts Club. Yes, we have others which are a little dormant this year. They've not been active, like Kampala by Night. We also have Wine House Darts Club. That one is in Old Kampala. So those have been participating in the Kampala Zone League, and as we talk, we are left with just 1 weekend. We were disrupted by a number of activities. We could have started our second round by now. But we are going to do that after we have an extraordinary general assembly coming up next weekend. So this weekend, we should be able to clear that. Then we go back to the league. The winner, because so far we are still sustaining the league, we are yet to get a promoter, a supporter in that area. Usually we take the top 4 teams from the northern zone and the top 6 teams from Kampala zone, so that they go for the playoffs. Then they meet and eventually we get the national champion. We usually break them into groups. We take the top 2 from each group, and then they go for quarterfinals, start knockout until we get the finalists, the 2 finalists, and eventually the champion. What we usually give are trophies. There's a rotational trophy and there's a takeaway trophy for the winning teams. When we have supporters, like at one time, 2018, it is Kakira that hosted us. They supported. They gave us trophies. They bought the trophies, some boards. Basically, we appeal to the public, the business community. That is one of the games that you don't need a lot of effort. You don't need to go to the field, to the gym. No, you just have to come and wear away the daily stress in the evening as you throw. You meet friends, you interact, and then you go and play the league. Our leagues are played over the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, and we usually play from afternoon, but because of the many teams, sometimes we spend the whole day throwing darts.
Okay, still with you, Vice Chairman. In other sports, like I'll tell you, at the Mayo College, where I happen to have come from, the rugby is from the grassroots, but you have junior teams, you have senior teams, and schools like Hana, Budo, and Kansmark have actually adopted the culture of rugby. In football, we have the big league, we have other lower tiers of football where we start from the grassroots. I haven't heard you talk about darts in schools. So is darts meant for only you, the elites, or even the young ones might play darts in secondary school?
Oh, thank you, Ruben. Actually, I earlier hinted on tertiary institutions. We have, in our new strategic plan, we intend to roll out to the secondary schools first.
Okay.
You see, these arrows, one, if you roll it out to primary kids, they're a bit dangerous.
Oh, okay.
They can just throw anyhow, and
you are injured.
they injure each other.
Oh, okay.
So we are careful. We don't want. Personally, I started playing darts way back when I was still in primary. But I had the opportunity.
That's how many years ago?
Oh, like 20 years ago.
20 years
over.
ago.
I can say over 20 years.
Okay.
I used to go to a members club, Uganda Electricity Board club. They had a club in Kololo, Ridgeway Drive. And so I started as a choker man, just to choke for them, because my arithmetic was good.
Okay.
But eventually they said, you try.
So what is choking?
Choking is recording the scores.
Oh, okay.
And then you give the balance.
Okay.
So I started.
So you were a choker man?
At that level,
okay.
When I was growing up, the old men didn't want to touch chalk. So for me, I would enjoy choking.
You would volunteer?
Yeah.
And write the results?
And of course get a soda.
Okay.
Then
that's a good one.
Eventually, they said, but you also try. So I kept trying. Whenever they are not ready, me, I would try. But eventually, one day, they had a team, and they were not enough. Then one of them said, but we have this choker man. He knows how to throw. He knows how to count. I got on the board and I won. That was the beginning. I didn't look back.
Okay.
Eventually, I became the junior champion in 1989, and I went on. But back to your question. With the tertiary institutions now, our partners, we want to roll out to secondary schools. We've already made contacts with some schools like Bethany Secondary School. We donated a board. We have colleagues, UPDF, that's club. They have a school they are also promoting in Bombo. So in our strategic plan, we want to go down into schools. And we appreciate National Council of Sports is also behind this darts development program. We believe that in the next financial year, we should be able to meet our target. We need to get equipment because they're expensive. Okay. A dartboard goes for minimum 250,000.
Is that expensive?
It is.
Okay.
By looking at the school's standards.
Yes.
Some of the schools may not afford, especially in the countryside. In Kampala, of course, that's nothing. The darts set goes for about 60,000. Our target is to at least identify schools in the different regions and give them at least 2 darts boards and at least 4 sets. Because these sets vary in weight. Like mine is 18. Someone else may be using 24. Andrew?
22.
22.
Well, 22 what?
Grams.
Grams, okay.
Yeah, so they vary in weight. So,
so what is the biggest in terms of grams?
I think 30.
30?
30. But these days, very few people use those very heavy weights.
Okay.
Maximum is about 24, 26, but there's 28 and 30. So when we acquire that funding from National Council of Sports, our target is to buy the equipment, and we, the players, current players, will offer ourselves to go and coach, to go and teach the young ones, take them through the basics, and eventually we come up with a league.
Okay.
But to confirm that we still have the youth in our planning, we have the regional tournament. This regional tournament has 5 regions: Uganda, Eastern, Western, Northern, and West Nile. Each team must have a youth. A youth is anyone below 18 years.
Okay.
If by the time of the event you have not clocked 18, then you qualify to play. Why? Because we also, this year we are not fielding a youth team for the World Cup. We were late to have our selection because the regional tournament is coming next month, so we didn't field a team. But yes, we have that in mind. Clubs already have youth players like Uganda Cancer Institute. They have young ones like the Nobela Club in Mukono. They have young people, and 291 in Lira. They also have young players, those who qualify to play as youth.
Okay.
So we embrace everyone.
Okay. Let me go to Andrew, the captain of the national team. How long have you been on the national team?
National team, this is my 4th attempt on the national team.
4th means the 4th year?
The 4th year,
Okay.
as a national player.
As a national player?
Yes.
Not captain?
Not captain.
Captain was, you took over last year?
I took over last year from my own player, from a player of, that is Ndigendawa Augustus, a player of Uganda Wildlife Authority.
Okay.
He was our captain. He captained me when we were going for Eastern Central, and he brought the trophy with me.
Okay.
I was assistant captain by then.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, in your playing time, you've played for a long time, that is at darts. Who would you sit and talk about and say, maybe Ruben was one of the players who gave me headache? So who can you mention here? That I played against David Tavaro, and indeed it was tough for me to win the game against him.
Thank you very much for that question, and it's really a good one. We have players here in Uganda who are good players that give me hard time to beat them. I have a player, there's a player called Ocheng, Patrick. Is based in the northern region. Okay. There's a player called Passy, and then there's a player called Kalete Ronald. Those 3 players really give me hard time, and when I'm on board with them, there's no joke. You don't determine who beats who. You really fight for a game to win. Yeah, I know. As I just told you that the game is a game of nerves, and any distraction can confuse you from your aiming, and that's one of the things that some players use. Okay. When they see you too much concentrating on playing a game of that, and whatever you use anything to see that you win, you beating your opponent. Okay. To win the game. True. Yeah. Somebody can easily call your name when you're aiming to get a bull or to finish a house. As Andrew, and by the time you think about the person, you're losing the concentration. True. So a game of that is just a game of nerves. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, in football, there's what they call a comeback. You can concede 4 goals in the first half, come back and score 5 in the second half and win a game. So I want you to take us through in that. When do you trail? When do you think, like, let's assume you are trailing and you must mount a comeback. Is there anything like that in darts?
Yeah, we have. A game of darts is played basically best of 5, best of 9, best of 11. That's when you're for competition. Okay. Like World Cup, we are going to play best of 17. A comeback, that one comes in that probably maybe you've trained yourself. You've strained yourself to that level of that somebody has beaten you up, and you're playing best of 9, and you're left with he has won you 2-0 or 3-0. Yes. Now, a comeback, that's what you're meaning. Yes. You're meaning how can you
come back and go to 3-3.
Come back to go to 3-3. As a game of nuts is all about recollecting yourself. If you're good, you're good. And basically, it's a game of motion also. It is fear in the game. Yeah. Probably you're playing somebody, I've given you some names. You're playing a person like Odoi. If Odoi takes you 2-0 and you don't catch up, oh, you know that game is gone.
Okay.
But if you score highly,
yes,
you can catch up with the game and are determined to win the game. Somebody can even lead you, best of 9, somebody can lead you 3-0. But if you can come from 0 to win a game, you can come from 0, it's a comeback.
Yeah,
you can come from 0 to win a game. Recently when we were in Tanzania, when we were playing the East African Championship, Tanzanians were beating us. They were leading us 7. We had 2, they had 4.
Okay.
They wanted a game to win again, to take the trophy. But a comeback made us take the trophy.
Okay. Yes.
We asked for time out, and we collected ourselves together. It's only about a mindset now. You talk to players and say, please, we can still win the game.
Yes.
Only that disorganized them. By collecting ourselves together, it disorganized them. Oh, these guys that have now come back. When the first person went to the board and he won the game, it gave us morale, confidence to win the 3 people to win. And when the 3 people won the game, we came back to the game and we won the trophy. Okay. It was a very big blow for them.
Okay, that's a good one. Now I got you, Edgar Tavaro. You mentioned about National Council of Sports supporting the Uganda Darts Association. And I see the upcoming events. But there is a World Cup that will commence in September. We have the Uganda International Open, of course. Then we have the East African Championship as well. So have you talked to the chairman, National Council of Sports, so that by the time these events happen, you have enough to take you through them, or you have the funds?
Thank you, Ruben. Just a small correction. David.
Okay. David Tavaro.
We are required by National Council of Sports to give our annual work plans and cost them. This we already did, and particularly for these events, we even wrote a request, special request, giving our requirements. So we are still optimistic that the General Secretary, Dr. Ogwell Bernard, being the Chief Administrative Officer there, is working around the clock. Okay. Although what we know is that this year's budget, the sports fund was a bit reduced. That is a little bit worrying, and the only issue is that in Uganda, we are not among the priority sports. So when the budget is slashed, it worries, because now focus is going to be on football, netball. Already our ladies are out there in South Africa. Yes. Rugby, athletics, swimming, basketball, a bit of boxing. Since we have qualifiers, I'm a bit nervous, if I'm to use the word we use in darts, that with the budget cuts, darts may not be given, despite the fact that this is World Cup. It's not a qualifier. No, we're already there. Okay. We just need the funding. So I again wish to appeal to the Parliament of Uganda, because I'm told these days appropriation is done in Parliament, much as that's not what they term as priority.
It's done in Parliament, not a National Council of Sports?
There was a bit of shift in policy okay. As far as allocation of funds is concerned. So we do the paperwork, National Council collects and then submits, but when the funds come, they are not managed directly by NCS. Okay. So thanks for asking that question. We appeal to the parliamentarians, the sports committee, to please, for this year, we've not been at the World Cup since 1997, I think, when the tournament was in Durban, South Africa. That was the last time Uganda featured. We are glad that National Council of Sports has put us where we are now. We had areas in terms of subscriptions, and they were cleared by NCS. So it would be self-defeating if you've made us go back to the world and then we don't actually go and participate. My appeal is to the Parliament, which now does the allocations, to consider that. We need about 220 million shillings for a team of 8 players. Andrew told you we are 16. That 16 is focusing on World Cup and the East Africa Championship.
Okay.
But the team that we have entered for the World Cup are 4 men and 4 ladies. And these 4 are, of course, I'll start with the captain, Andrew Emomeri, the assistant captain, Sarah Makanga. And then we have Kalete Ronald, we have Omoding James, we have Okalebo Charles Malinga, we have Asuga Winnie, we have Namuga Nyimaria, and Omonya Gloria.
Are you picking your girlfriends or you're picking players?
No, we had, by the way, I also participated in the trials.
So what criteria do you use to pick these players? We have had the case studies where you go to Olympics and you find girlfriends of officials attending, and you ask yourself, why is Ruben here? Or why is so and so here? So, Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
What do you base on to choose national team players?
Ruben, at an appropriate time, I'll invite you to our office and you look at the records. But in brief,
yes,
as we play, we have ranking tournaments. And these ranking tournaments, everyone who participates, if you go beyond a certain level, you start garnering points. Okay. Those points are put together. So when there is need for a national team, we focus on people who have garnered points throughout the year.
Okay.
We bring them in one central place. They play each other. I was part of the group. But
so you were dropped?
Yeah, I think it's an issue of, me, I'm now old.
No, you're not good enough. You're dropped from the team.
I appreciate. I lost, and the top 4 men are the ones going to Denmark.
Qualified for the national team. Okay.
And I'm a little bit surprised that Andrew didn't consider me among his strong opponents. But he knows when he meets me, it's not a cup of tea. And same applies to the ladies. Now, when it comes to Kenya, it will be a different ball game. After Denmark, we are going to continue. Right now, the team is undergoing non-residential training at the Jacuzzi. So after Denmark, we are going to continue with our training. It doesn't mean that if you are the best, you remain the best even in November. Things change. And we hope that we shall defend that trophy effectively, bring it back home.
Okay. And let me go to Andrew, the captain. Now, it's time for you to carry the national flag.
Yes.
But the World Cup is coming up in September.
Yes.
And like the vice chairman said, that you appointed a team that you think, with the help of the qualification and with the points accumulated. But yeah, so the vice chairman was dropped because he only picked up 2 points.
Not good enough to feature there.
I love the fact that he wasn't good enough. But that's why the fact that he's chairman.
It's good. But it wasn't
not good enough for the national team. So how are you going to ensure that you're going to raise our flag high? Normally, I hosted athletics for president here. I think it was 5-7 years ago. He told me that I talked about Ali Mandakai, Joshua Cheptegei, and Kipriman. Said, Ruben, given time and longevity on the track, these 2 gentlemen and 1 lady will be the best in the world. And indeed, it came to pass. Now they are the best in the world. True. So, given the fact that you are given a national flag to carry in let's say go to the World Cup in Denmark, how are we sure that you raise our flag high as players, as a national team?
I want to tell the public that I'm very sure that the team has trained enough. We are ready for whatever comes. Personally, as a captain, I'm ready to raise that flag higher.
Okay.
Very, very ready. I've been training. I've been giving my time for training. As I told you that I work with Uganda Prison Service.
Okay.
They gave me time for training. I'm a driver as well.
Okay.
I drive commissioner of prisons.
Commissioner General?
No, not Commissioner General of prisons. I drive one of the commissioners of prisons. He gave me time for training.
So you're ready as a national team?
I'm very, very ready. We are ready as a national team for Denmark.
Okay.
We are going to raise the flag higher. And the spirit we had as we went to Tanzania and we raised the flag higher, we brought the trophy, is the very spirit we have right now. Although it's different players, that every year we go for selection.
Okay.
You can't be the best throughout, as I said. We go for selection every year, and the best players always feature for a national team.
Okay.
And this time, I'm quite sure that the players that are featured for national team and the 4 men and 4 ladies that are going for Denmark are ready for the game.
Okay.
And they are prepared for the game.
Okay. Mr. Tavaro, yes, you mentioned about 218 million. Now, if you look at the national team, it's only 8 players.
Yes.
Can you justify that amount? Why would you need over $60,000 US for just a tournament of 5 days? Because as I see here, it's between 25th and 30th. Those are 5 days. So the 218 or 220 million is for what? Are you going to embezzle funds here?
Not at all. In addition to the core team,
okay,
we have the team manager, Engineer Sam Wanda. He will have to go with the team. Then we need to send a minimum of 2 delegates to attend the World Darts Congress. Okay. It's like an annual General Assembly for the World Darts Federation. So, by and large, the biggest chunk of money is on air tickets. Then of course the accommodation. The organizers gave us a package. If we are able to meet the deadline, then the package covers everything, accommodation, meals, and registration. Okay. So when you look at it right now, it may look too much, but surely the accommodation has been discounted. That's why we need that much. I've said roughly 220 million, but the exchange rate keeps changing. Okay. If you buy the ticket today, you are better off. If you buy it end August, it may be a different story. The earlier we book and pay, the better. So if we can get that money, I appeal to now the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament to really prevail over the sports team.
She's watching.
I pray that she is. And we shall return accolades. Because we went to Egypt. Incidentally, even the men, the tournament was won by a Ugandan, Job Henry Odoi. He plays for Uganda Wildlife Authority. And to show you that in darts, leaders are still good. The lady who won in Africa, Sarah Makanga, is a member of the executive committee. The runner-up in the men's event, Engineer Bosco Lepi, is the chairman Uganda Darts Association. So for us, we are always there, dangerous substitutes. Okay. Just in case the players who are there don't feature well, we can always get the darts and we do a good job. But we have a team, we have confidence, they are able to do us proud and conquer the world, but also retain the East Africa Championship. Okay, that takes us to ask you to take us through the events that we have left in this year. Let's have the events that will be happening from now to the end of the year. Okay, we have mid-August, in partnership with the Uganda Wildlife Authority, we shall have the Conservation Cup. Okay. This was brought about by the need for us to get to know the different conservation areas. Usually, Uganda Wildlife Authority tries. Last year we were in Kasese, Queen Elizabeth. We are yet to know where they are taking us this year. After the Conservation Cup, we shall have the regional tournament. Okay. The one I talked earlier. Sorry, in the interest of time, I may not be very specific on dates. No, it's okay. But it's also in August. Yeah. Then we shall have the zonal leagues rolling out in September to conclude the zonal league. Then the Uganda International Open will also come in September, just a week before gallant men and women fly out to Denmark. This will be a preamble for them. It will be like a curtain raiser. We are sure they will be able to shine in Uganda, but I want to warn Andrew especially that in the Uganda International Open, I am also there. I want that. You want to be picked for the national team? For now, it is late. They have already entered the draws. You're not good enough. I was good. Then from the International Open, of course, Denmark. When we come back to Denmark, we focus all our energies on the East Africa Darts Championship. which will be in November, Nairobi, from 4th of November, where we are defending champions. But alongside the East Africa Championships, there is the Kenya International Open, where some of us who are not on the national team will have an opportunity to show the national team players that, okay,
that you are good enough.
At least we managed to win.
You dropped us, but you are good enough.
we managed to win something in the Kenya Open.
Okay.
Then we shall climax our year. Our year runs from January to December as of now, but we are in the constitutional review process so that we align ourselves to the financial year, because most of the funding comes from government.
Okay.
So the climax will be the National League playoffs, where the top teams from all the zonal leagues will converge at a venue that we are yet to mention, and they play each other. We usually group them, like I said. We take the top two, and we have the quarterfinals at knockout until we have the finalists. Okay. So briefly, that's how our year looks like.
That's okay. That's a good one. I love the fact that you concede that not good enough for the national team. But Captain Andrew, your parting remarks.
Outside there, I would say that I want to thank everybody who support the darts, the game that I play, that's darts. And I want to put confidence in you people that the trophy is going to come back to Uganda. We are going to work hard. We have trained enough. We have the good manager, Eva. Is the very manager that led us to Tanzania, and is the very one who's still with us. He has trained us, and we are going to bring the trophy to Uganda.
Okay, let's pray that the trophy comes back to Uganda. Of course, the Andrews and the other players come back home with that trophy. And Vice President, your parting remarks?
Thank you very much, Ruben and UBC, for giving us this opportunity to come and talk to Uganda. All Ugandans out there, yes, Andrew has said we are set, but as God-fearing people, for God and my country, we require that you support us physically. When you can come to Jacuzzi every Wednesday and Saturday. That's when we do our training. Then spiritually, you pray for us. Pray for Uganda Darts Association. One, that the players remain in good health, good shape. Two, that my appeal touches those who have the signatures to allocate, and we get the 220 million, and we fly to Denmark, and we take a winning team, which will come back with accolades. My last request to the public, support the teams. The corporate world, support the teams. Okay. Yes.
All right, thank you so much. That's Uganda Darts Association. Of course, Vice President, that is Tamaro David, as well as the captain of the Darts team, national team. That is Andrew. We thank you so much for coming in. And of course, but today is a special day in Uganda here. Sabasa Jakabaka marks 30 years. I don't know whether you understand Uganda, but we mark 30 years. Kabaka is, for lack of, I can use Uganda here. Tujaguze miaka 3 nga Ssaabasajja ali ku Namulondo, if you can understand that. Anyway, but of course I want to thank you so much for coming in, David and Andrew, and hopefully that we can have you again talk about this, but of course also ask Parliament of Uganda or Parliament of Uganda to consider their request as an association to allocate them funds to go and participate in the World Cup. That will be in September. August starts tomorrow, and of course it's just a few weeks away to the World Cup, and would love the national team to travel to Denmark for that biggest event in darts. But of course, from us, we shall be going live as UBC. That will be in Bulange for Kabaka's coronation. And of course, 30 years on the throne means a lot to Baganda, and UBC TV as a national public broadcaster will be live in Bulange to show you the events as they happen. And as we celebrate 30 years of Kabaka Mwenda Mutebi II, we also want to celebrate with the nation as UBC. And if you can't afford to go to Bulange, you just sit home and tune into UBC. We'll be live in Bulange. I will pray for Sandra Kahunde, take you through up to the hour of 11. But of course, from us at the GMU team, wish you a blessed week. And we pray that God protects you and grants you good health. Good morning.